All right, we're a couple minutes after 1, and we will call to order our special call Durant Community Facilities Authority meeting, and single item on our agenda. With that, we'll do the roll call. Yes.
Trustee Baxter.
Here.
Trustee Blackburn.
Here.
Trustee Briscoe.
Here.
Trustee Dillard is absent. Trustee Grover.
Here.
Trustee Miller.
Here.
Trustee Morris.
Here.
Vice Chairman Pierce.
Here.
Chairman Webb.
Here. How do you get one of those? All right. I wanted the handheld. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. So our item for discussion, consideration, possible approval today is an Oklahoma Department of Transportation 2022 Transportation Alternatives Program, minimum of 20%. It's a local grant match in the approximate amount of $168,250 to continue the Rails to Trails project. I do know that it's not approximate any longer in that amount, and Becca, I'll ask you maybe to come and give those numbers, but I believe that amount is going to be specifically $168,520. We do say approximate in the agenda, but I think there is an exact amount if you'll give us that.
Yes, sir. Hello, good afternoon. Thank you all for taking time out of your day to hear about this project, and hopefully we can move forward. I made a Scribner error in the afternoon of our storms on Friday, and I don't know how it went through so many hands and none of us caught that, but the match is 20% of the estimate that was provided by the Halfin Associates, which is the project engineer on the whole project. And the 20% I put in your memo as well as in the resolution, that's $168,250, but I transposed the numbers. It should be $168,520. And of course, we all are aware that this is an estimate, and by the time ODOT is planning on letting bid probably late summer next year, and who knows what will happen between now and then, but as far as committing, that will at least help us with the grant application. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Is this basically for a bridge across Chuckwall Creek? Is that what we're doing here?
Yes. The current funding that we have will or should pay for the trail segments on both the north and the south side of the bridge. And if figures are right, according to the engineer, we may even have a little bit of money left over from that would roll to the bridge portion. But ODOT wanted us to specifically apply for the bridge. That was their direction to me.
Any questions for Becca? Anyone?
I'm on. Can we have just a brief description of the news?
Oh.
Give us just like a 1 minute Reader's Digest version of exactly what's going to happen and what the purpose is and what we're doing.
Okay. Are you familiar with where the project's at?
Yes.
Okay, so starting at the VPAC area where the outdoor exercise equipment, going east and then making a 90-degree, the bridge would go across Chuckwall Creek, and then trails continue all the way up to the next trailhead, which would be at the softball fields. And the funding was short. We applied for the original ODOT amount in 15, was awarded in 16 for $396,000. We applied for another grant of $240,000, and even with those two grants combined, we were still short funds to build the bridge. So you'd have a sidewalk to nowhere, basically. And so ODOT really came to us and said, here's another opportunity, and once you submit a preliminary app, which we did, and they made a visit to our site a couple weeks ago and approved for us to submit the final application. So based upon the additional costs that we're talking about today with what we have currently, this should allow us to build the complete trail with the bridge. It'll be a pedestrian bridge. Okay, and because by building it in segments, we're saving funds, saving cost, but then we'll have to have piers going into the creek, which will cause another environmental, and ODOT will conduct that. And so we're talking about 6 months of time, but the time it's awarded to that environmental, but that will be about the right time for ODOT to conduct their bidding. ODOT will conduct the bidding, the oversight of the construction, and everything.
I have one more question. Does this $168,000 come out of the excess sales tax that the DCFA has in the bank?
That's not a question I can answer.
I bet Ann can.
And Jen?
Yes.
Yeah, where does the 168,000 come from is my question.
It will come from that quarter cent sales tax. We got 2 quarter cent sales tax, and then we deposit to our gross revenue account, DCFA gross revenue account. Yes.
Okay.
And the balance in that account right now is?
Right now, we have reserve, which means that it's not assigned to any project or something.
Correct.
The balance is about $700,000.
Okay.
Yeah. But I have to say that because this year's budget, and then when I do the budget is I project this year's how much we will receive on the revenue. So if everything went well, like the plan, it would be fine. But if our sales tax, I don't think it will. All of a sudden drop or something, then we will be really careful. But right now you have about $700,000 can use it.
Okay.
At one point, was it like 2 million? The balance around 2 million?
That is in our account.
Okay.
But that 2 million that we have to, this sales tax ended in 2024.
Correct.
And the last payment, 2024, June 30th, we will be end. And the last payment is November. You have 2 payments. One is First United, that one, and one is the big loan. So I save about $850 for the last payment in case that we don't have enough money to cover it. That is my safety net. I'm more conservative. So I don't want to spend all the money that, and then at the end that we don't have any money to cover our debt service. Yeah, so we still have two payments. One is First United, one is the monthly that, the big, I think it's 14 million or 17 million, 14 million, that one.
Okay.
And where does the money that doesn't get used for debt services go at the end of that? Like afterwards, let's say we have $100,000 left over. Where does that money go to?
Well, what I suggest is during multi-sport complex, we need to manage. For example, this year that they have the all those improvement maintenance for almost $700,000, and maintenance that facility, you know, it's not cheap. So that is the thing that I'm thinking that after that we can, if they need to do the improvement or fix something, that is the money that we can use.
Chris, I
And we
believe,
still,
so I believe that excess is spent at the pleasure of this authority.
Right.
and really we still got 2 years to run that program. So we don't know if we need to do some improvement. And I know that our parking lot maybe need to repaving or something. I'm not sure, but
That's what I was going to ask. Is that not, I mean, we talked about that last time with the parking lot, or was that already specified in the budget and already accounted for?
670, that's 670.
Yes, when I came aboard, that was what was originally planned.
The lighting.
The lighting, we haven't even got a quote for. That's a dream to redo all the lighting. But the 600, that was allotted for the parking lot to repave it and then get storage bins pretty much concrete storage bins for all the excess dirt and playground mulch that's stored up there. And the canopy that for the soccer, since they got blown.
Is that 700 that we have, is that already minus that also? I'm just curious.
Yes, okay, this year's budget is for the parking, right?
Yep.
And the two storage.
Yep.
And then these, I know, so far I know they need the lighting and the canopies. That's not including all this budget.
But that's not money that we voted on and approved to spend.
Not yet,
correct?
but that is a plan that they might need to do the improvement.
Right.
Yes.
Right,
The
okay.
700 that you're talking about, though, that's not coming from these funds, it's coming from a different set of funds.
I thought it came from these funds. For the parking lot, I believe it came
It's-
from this fund.
Yes, for this year's
So
budget.
we're already funding the sports
Yes.
complex, parking and.
Yes,
and-
this
and
year.
Maintenance and whatever else has been needed. It's already coming out of here.
Yep.
Yes.
Keith, we've been funding the personnel there since day one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, which goes to the question of when the reserve, if there is a reserve, should it go there or should it, what do you do with it at that point?
Well, let me clarify. When I said we've been funding, the city has been funding, not this authority, not this tax money. So,
Well, we do an annual repayment of
Yes.
several $100,000 that we approve every year. So, but yes, that is true. Yes.
and thank you for socking money away. I think that's a good idea.
For sure.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Questions for Becca about the project itself? Yeah, I think I did get a note. There was a member of the audience that had requested time. I'm not sure who that might be to speak. Yeah.
Maybe I did.
I'll let you identify yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, my name is Derek Hines, and I'm here representing Durant Trails and Open Space. And Mike DeLoro is going to pass out. Here's the ones. So, and I appreciate your question about the history of the project. You know, we've been working on this project since 2016, and Durant Trails and Open Space kind of spun out of Imagine Durant. So Imagine Durant had a Trails Committee that then, you know, Mike DeLoro and myself, we started a nonprofit called Durant Trails and Open Space that then kind of assumed the Trails Committee. In 2016, you know, we were approached by the city. They had the opportunity for the initial grant, but they needed, you know, the matching funds. And so we, as an entity, you know, agreed to raise the matching funds. And that was about, you know, if you'll turn to page 2. So page 1, this is just the entire scope of the project. Page 2 is more of an update on, you know, what has transpired to date. And so in 2016, you know, our organization basically committed to raise $99,000 so that the city would not have to spend any of their own funds to match the grant. And, you know, we appreciated the opportunity to do so. Obviously, a lot has happened, you know, since 2016, 2017. And the city just got, you know, the ODOT environmental just got cleared July of 2021. So if you'll turn to page 3, you can see a little bit more in depth. And I think it's on I don't know if the presentation on the screen, do you have that? Okay. So this is just a little bit more of breakdown of specific financials. You know, so the DTOS match, you know, and that match came from, you know, it was myself, Stuart Rustin, and Tim Boatman, who's on our committee. You know, we were in a meeting with the current city manager at that time, and ourselves, along with 27 other individuals, gave $500 to $1,000 to get us to about $27,000. And then Bryan County came along and they gave us an additional almost $70,000 to round out the $99,000 donation to the city. So on page 2, you'll just see that's a little bit more in depth of where all the funds to date have come from. And then page 3, that's a breakdown of what we're here requesting today. But I think, this project, our committee, Durant Trails and Open Space, we are definitely very committed to this project, and to being, a positive partner to help the city to accomplish things like this. So, we've been engaged with the project from the beginning, so we're available for any questions that the committee might have as well. So,
I get a chance to write a lot of grants on my work, and it's always the biggest question is impact. And so, if you have some kind of an impact statement or how you feel like it can positively impact this as a community as a whole, kind of loaded question, but
I wish I had like that one sentence. I wish I had pre-drafted that, but so Durant Trails and Open Space, we really want to see people. We want to help to create environments where people can get outside, get active, get moving. I think that just that improves people's quality of life. I mean, Durant is continuing to grow and to change, and we really want to create positive environments where people can get outside, get moving, improve quality of life. And I think, if you look at the financials of this project, I mean, we have the opportunity to basically bring in almost $1.7 million after all the matching funds with, very limited contribution from ourselves. So I think, I'm in the financial industry as a profession. So I think about leverage, and this is a way that we can really take our dollars and leverage them to, improve our community.
Who maintains these trails after they're finished?
So, Tim? Yeah, Southeastern. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry. One of the very first, back in 2016, when we were talking about trails, and sure, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. So in 2016, in our initial conversations with the city about trails, and hey, we want walking trails and things like that, the city's big thing was, okay, but we can't mow them. We don't have the staff. We're not in the upkeep of these trails, and so we intentionally designed trails in different places where either they already existed, or like on this one, Southeastern will do the mowing and the upkeep, because like the high schools all use that trail for cross country, and different places come in and use those, and so the university will do the mowing and the upkeep, and we'll assume that cost.
Thank you.
So is question, we go from the outdoor exercise equipment at the VPAC across the creek, and it hooks to the Crooked Smile Trail?
Yes, sir, that is correct. So
that's what the bridge is. The bridge have another purpose besides connecting that parking lot to the Crooked Smile Trail?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Go
ahead. Long ago, there was I say long ago, it was 2016, 17, there was a master, I think the city or someone got a grant for a master trail plan. And so one of the things, the first trail that we did was around the university, so it was lit. And it's a 1.75 mile trail, walking trail. Right. And so the city helped us actually with curb cuts, and we had different people donate paint and things. So that 1.75 mile trail ends at the protected crosswalk. Right. And then the protected crosswalk leads right to the trail for the bridge. And now that we have 5th and 6th Street as a corridor that leads, so in theory, you can bike from downtown up to the university, across over, and now you're up at the softball fields, up at the equestrian. So the bridge actually connects, it's the key to connecting about 4.5 miles of safe walking trail.
Yeah, and there's tons of potential too, because this is an old rail line. I mean, so it runs all the way up through Armstrong. Pretty sure it's the one that runs all the way down to Carpenter's Bluff as well. So, there's tons of projects throughout the nation that are trying to convert old railways to trails. This project in particular is a little unique in that respect, but there's a lot of potential to create a longer trail based on this. But this would get, we would have the covered, basically the protected crossing, and then, this bridge would get you over Chuckwall.
Tim, what do you mean in theory, 5th and 6th? What's the actuality? I don't think I'd walk down either one of them.
We have the painted bike lanes on 5th and 6th, so that if someone is downtown and wants to ride their bike up 5th and 6th now we love those painted bike lanes, and that fits, that then brings them right to campus. Or it brings them from campus right to downtown, and then to the big walking trails from there. We also worked with the city 5 or 6 years ago to create, I don't know if the line, the little protected path down Briarwood, down Briarwood, and it also comes right up. And that path down Briarwood leads right to Carl Albert Park. So I don't know if you've been down Briarwood and you've seen the white trail, that kind of protected that keeps the driver. So that way you can go from Carl Albert Park. If you wanted to, you could walk from Carl Albert Park and either take a bike or walk all the way down to downtown. So those bike paths down 5th and 6th, that's what we're talking about.
I have one more question. So I know, is this going to be paved sidewalk? I noticed that it says a 10-foot wide concrete trail. Well, this will be ADA accessible. So do we have any, I don't even know if we have anything kind of like that in town where people with disabilities are able to get a wheelchair through, so they'll be able to use this as well.
Yeah, and that's, another individual that's been integral in this project is Stuart Rustin. So, that was one of the main key points, is it being, if Becca walks back in, just let me know. But yeah, that it is ADA accessible. So it'll be ADA accessible, at the end of the trail, and then also at where the workout is behind the VPAC.
If I could say, any project.
Oh, there's no, sorry, I was looking the wrong way.
Other side of the room.
Any project that you use federal funding on must meet ADA requirements.
Yeah.
Yes, and that has been integral. And I will say that the $99,000 that you mentioned, we could not have moved this project off at all had VTOS and the community came in and helped us with that. And we had to use the first 20% towards the engineering costs. That's by ODOT guidelines. So there's still $69,000 and some change, still sitting with ANCHIM. And so that will be to pay the match for the first phase, which will be the sidewalk part.
Yep.
Yes. And you were talking about the connectivity. That's a big buzzword in the grant world today, because it's all about that connectivity. We just submitted a grant through U.S. Department of Transportation for the connecting roadways around the high school, connecting Redbud over to First, down Gerlach, Yale Farrell, making a new roadway to the west of the high school. And that grant was all about connecting neighborhoods and connecting to other amenities. And the trail grant that the city did receive was a 2015 project that was actually finished and approved in 17. And it is the Durant Master Trails Plan. And this trail is identified on the big grand scheme. Yes. So that's an important key factor there too.
So not one more. I have another question. Not just one more. So you mentioned 2016. We're in 2022, and so should we approve funding, or you get everything lined up, all the funding is in place? So when does dirt move, and when? I mean, is that something that's imminent, or when does that happen?
You want me to?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Well, by ODOT, their schedule, first of all, we have the first Department of Transportation grant, which was $396,000. Then we have an Oklahoma tourism grant for a recreational trail, which is $240,000. The Oklahoma tourism ODOT accepted the $240,000 from the tourism and merged those funds together. The tourism department relieved their responsibility of it, and so ODOT now has those funds together. And so they want this project to go forward because they're sitting now on almost $600,000 after our engineering's been paid. And so when they came here and visited us, we received a report, they made the site visit, they've invited us to submit the final application. They have said that their plan is to let bids, or what we call go out for bid, in late summer. They know it's critical. They said if we do not bid before September, all of these funds go away. So they know the urgency to get this done.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
so maybe just in summer, like next summer?
Yes.
Summer 2023?
Right.
Bids.
moving?
Yes.
Bids for summer 23.
If
Okay.
everything
Yeah.
works out, you
Yeah,
know, as
yeah,
planned.
yeah, getting bids in September for actually dirt moving next summer.
But you also mentioned there'd have to be an environmental study.
And ODOT will take care of that. We already have the full environmental. As you mentioned, it was not approved until July last year. So, besides not having our funding, we had not had the environmental finished. They'll complete that. They said it would take about 6 months because the piers, that's the only reason why we have to do another phase of environmental. The piers are actually going now into the creek, whereas before they weren't. So the timing should work out good. The environmental finish as well as going out for bid.
Other questions we have?
I don't have a question, I have a comment. I think Dr. Boatman touched on a point when he said safe. We have a safe, accessible way to connect. You mentioned connectivity, and then you mentioned safe. Right now, from campus to the Crooked Smile Trail area, there's not a safe way to get there.
No.
And especially pedestrian-wise, there's not a safe way to get there. And one example, this is just a small thing, but we had an event on campus this past week where we had 1,500 to 2,000 children. And some of them went to the trail, some of them went to our campus trick-or-treating. And if they would have been able to park at the VPAC and walk to both, it would have been much safer. It would have been a much more pleasant environment for them. So, I mean, I think that's just one small aspect of the project.
Yeah.
One of the questions, that has come up before in the past, I think that is crucial, and can be said, is that it is open dusk to dawn and free to all community members.
Yeah.
There's no, so it's open dusk to dawn, free to anybody who wants to go. And if you drive by, if you haven't been out to the trail, to Crooked Smile Trail, if you drive by, it's crowded especially on a pretty day. On a pretty day, it'll be crowded, and even when it's wet, there's quite a bit of traffic. But it's open to the community 24 hours a day.
Well, I think with the Equestrian Center coming too, this would be another great amenity for them.
Yeah.
I've got one point to interject,
Certainly.
if I may. My name is Mike DeLoro, and part of this project I feel that also allows for the future growth in that area, and certainly something that our organization would love to champion and provide another community asset for not only the university, but for the town and city here. So I think this project really helps unlock that future potential when we're talking about 5 to 10 years from now. We certainly appreciate y'all's support.
Thank you.
Excellent. Any more questions?
Great.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Derek.
We really appreciate the time.
Thank you. All right.
And if board decides to make it a motion to approve, there are a few typos I need to correct on the resolution.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Further discussion or a motion?
I make a motion to approve the submitted project with adjustments.
Motion to approve in a second. Other discussion? Mr. Pierce.
On these. Trustee Baxter?
Yes.
Trustee Blackburn?
Yes.
Trustee Briscoe?
Yes.
Trustee Grover,
Yes.
Trustee Miller,
Yes.
Trustee Morris,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Pierce,
Aye.
Chairman Webb.
Yes. Do the lone aye. All right, unanimous approval of the funding. And thank you for being here. I think this is a great, I didn't want to say this prior to this, I think this is a great community win for us. And it all comes from sales tax, comes from our citizens, and as trustees and overseers of the DCFA, I appreciate everyone's input, good questions, and I think if it wasn't a good idea, regardless of what our thoughts about whether we should or shouldn't, I think there was good Q&A, and I think we did a good job of vetting that. So I appreciate the trustees for your input and for your action. So, yep.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. Humphrey and Pierce. Here we go. Yeah.
Trustee Baxter,
Aye.
Trustee
Blackburn.
Say yes.
Blackburn, Trustee Briscoe,
Yes.
Trustee Grover,
Yes.
Trustee Miller,
Aye.
Trustee Morris, Vice Chairman Pierce,
Aye.
Chairman Webb.
Aye.